Good morning. My name is Maureen Chung. Welcome to Daily Devotional of May 12th. The Bible passage is Acts chapter 17, verse 16 to 27, and the title is Searching for the True God. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace day by day with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Then they took him and brought him to a meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? You are bringing some strange ideas to our ears, and we would like to know what they mean." All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.' So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship, and this is what I am going to proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man, he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us." In Paul and Silas's second missionary journey, that is 50 to 52 AD, within that period of time, the Holy Spirit led them to Europe. They spent time in the Roman colony Philippi and then Thessalonica and Berea, similar to the first missionary journey, which took place from 46 to 48 AD. In each city, they experienced a cycle of interest and conversions to Christ, and then jealousy from the Jews, leading to persecution, resulting to their forced departure from the city. They preached as long as they could until they were chased away. Paul went on ahead to Athens, while Silas and Timothy stayed in Berea until they could join Paul. Today's Bible passage picks up from Paul's stay in Athens. G. Campbell Morgan explained about the religious life in ancient Greece. They worshipped Athene, who was the mother of the air, and Demeter, who was the mother of the earth, and Zeus, who was the god of force. This unholy trinity represent the basic human need for existence. Statues and altars were aplenty in Greece. There were altars to shame, rumor, philanthropy, representing the psychological need for security. In verse 23, Paul pointed out, "I even found an altar with this inscription, 'To an unknown God.'" As if all these gods were not enough, they took out an insurance policy by worshipping an unknown God. Paul reasoned with the locals in the synagogue and the marketplace. Some philosophers would take him to the Areopagus, where the council of the Areopagus met. And today's meditation, in a nutshell, is this: do we seek God from the world? If so, we fall into the worship of idols. Do we seek God from within ourselves? If so, we proudly worship our own intellect. But seek God from eternity and find him in the person of the resurrected Christ. At the marketplace, there were two groups of Greek philosophers, the Epicureans and the Stoics. Philosophy stems from the words philosophia, which means love wisdom. It involves thoughts and logics, how to live as a human being, and practical ethical life. Now first, God in the world. The Epicureans followed Epicurus, who believed that all material things were made up of atoms. At death, all would return to atoms. God had nothing to do with humans. The purpose of life was to seek pleasure, which meant simple living, learning, having no desires, thus having peace without the fear of pain and death. Now second, God in the self. But Stoics followed Zeno of Citium, who lived from 340 to 265 BC, and who believed that the road to happiness was to live with nature, unhindered by emotions, desires, and fears. One could live self-sufficient and independent life. To them, God is the intellect, and thus it easily leads to the sin of pride. Now 3, God in eternity. Therefore, when Paul presented the resurrected Jesus Christ to them, they could not comprehend. At the Areopagus, where the council met, Paul introduced the unknown God to the philosophers of Athens. First, Paul said in verses 24 to 25, "The God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and earth and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he's not served by human hands, as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else." Perhaps this is the rebuttal to the Epicureans. Seeking God from the material world of atoms is useless. Since the true God is the creator of the world, he does not need temples or altars. We cannot please God by serving his needs, for he has no needs. On the contrary, God gives life and breath and everything else. Idols don't. Further, Paul said in verses 26 to 27, "From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed time in history and the boundaries of their lands." God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. Now perhaps this is the rebuttal to the Stoics. Rather than self-sufficiency and self-dependent, being proud of one's intellect, human beings should know that God is in control over individuals and nations. Even our time in history and place of dwelling are foreordained by God. Seeking God from within oneself is doomed to fail. Our intellect is the God who fails. And that is the answer to the Stoics. And thirdly, rather, God had created opportunities for us to seek him and reach out for him and find him. The resurrected Jesus Christ is eager to be found. Paul's concluding statement is this: "For he has set a date when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed. He has given proof of this to everyone by raising him from the dead." And of course, Paul was talking about Jesus. And today's meditation in summary is this: do we seek God from the world? If so, we fall into the worship of idols. Do we seek a God from within ourselves? If so, we proudly worship our own intellect. But seek God from eternity and find him in the person of the resurrected Christ. He is the one we will see at the end of this life, and therefore we are accountable to him. My friends, if you are still seeking God, don't miss this chance. Think clearly, choose wisely. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates. Thank you.